Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I wanted to come on quick today to show you my latest deck, which I modified, and this is the Murder of Crows Tarot, illustrated by Corrado Roy, and the Little White Book is by Charles Harrington. So when I first saw this deck, I saw it as a limited edition where there were like splotches of red with each of the card images. And I was definitely tempted to purchase that limited edition. However, I resisted because I thought that maybe the deck would be just a little too dark for me. And then recently, maybe a few months back, Jo from Behind the Veil, she was showing her copy of Murder of the Crows, and it's the black and white edition that's, readily available. And she was saying how it surprised her that it didn't necessarily read as, kind of shadowy or doom and gloom. And I just found myself really tempted once again by this deck, even though it wasn't the limited edition. And a wonderful friend gifted it to me as an early birthday gift. My birthday is in June. I'm a Gemini. So thank you, dear friend. And I got the deck, and still kind of bummed that it wasn't the limited edition. So I thought, well, maybe I could just, I don't know, maybe I could just modify it myself. I had even started watching Gerald. He had a deck casual with Jo on the Murder of Crows, and Gerald had the limited edition. I'm like, oh my God, I love it. I want it. So I stopped watching. I'm like, I'm going to watch this later. I'm going to give this modification a try. So you'll get to see what I have done. Essentially, I just used Sharpies, red Sharpies. So this fine point and then this ultra fine point. That's it. And works pretty well. If any of you are wanting to try this yourself and feel like you're afraid you're going to make a mistake, I wouldn't be worried, because you can just get some alcohol or acetone and a Q-tip, and wherever you made the mistake, you can gently use that acetone to erase the mistake, gently. And that worked well for me. So I will say that because the illustration style of this deck is very kind of sketch-like and gruff, mistakes actually look kind of good. So, you can be just a little more free-flowing with your hands, and it actually won't look bad at all, So at least I don't think so. But you can be the judge of that. So in the limited edition, the backs do have red on them as well, but I left this as is. I wasn't going to do that for all 78 cards. And I also edged it in red. All right. So for the majors, and I would say some of the courts, a lot of the decks I, looked to a flip through of the limited edition just to see where the red was placed, and I would emulate that sometimes, a lot of times. And then, with the minors, there was so much red that I wasn't about to patiently go through all that in a modification. So I just kind of placed the red where I wanted to place it. So it's just kind of a combination of the limited edition and my own aesthetic choices. So I think it turned out pretty well. And I really don't like the strength card. I have talked before about how I don't like aggressive looking strength cards, but I guess the argument could be made that this deck in general has a darker feel to it, but I don't know, something about this just attracts me. You know, I do love kind of darker, creepier aesthetics, which I guess this is. And so the red will either intensify that for some, or I don't know, make it just seem more vibrant, but not necessarily more macabre. Like, I don't look at the red and think that it makes it any more, I hate this card too. I really hate this card. I don't think the red makes it look darker or more sinister, but I can see how some people would feel that way about a modification like this. But yeah, I love the theme of this deck. I love and have always loved the aesthetic of the Plague Doctor masks, the history of it. This card, it is also not a favorite. I have mentioned in previous videos that I am not so much a fan of like animal heads on human bodies. However, I think it works okay in this deck, and I'm able to overlook it because I see most of these crow-like faces or these figures as wearing masks. So I can kind of excuse that in my head because I just kind of see them all as a type of mask that they're wearing. And I don't know. I just really, really enjoy this kind of sketch-like quality of Corrado Roy. I don't have any of his other decks. And I've been seeing a lot of crows lately. I've been having dreams about crows. So now that I'm done with this modification, I want to go back and watch the deck Casual and see what Gerald and Joe have to say about this deck. But if you have worked with this deck, do let me know your thoughts. So you can see with like the edging that I did, it peeks over onto the other side. There's a little bit of bleed through, but I think that only adds to the aesthetic of the deck. So again, I feel like this is the type of art where any kind of modification you want to make to it would be very forgiving. I'm not a fan of this one either. I love this one. Love this one. So yeah, this was, this took some time because I had to think about where I wanted to place the colors. But I really like it. Love that Queen of Cups. You know, some images are a little bit tough, like this one. So it kind of, this deck is just one of those examples where If you recall an old video that I did that a few people did VRs to, which is Deck Delights and Deterrents, this deck has several deterrents. But that's why I don't call them deal breakers, because, I mean, there are just so many factors involved for why you will or won't acquire a deck. This is one of my favorites. It is on this low Scarabeo cardstock that I personally do not care for. I find it hard to shuffle, but I know that other people really like it. I'm hoping that with time it'll break in. And if not, I guess I have my dice. But it is also very glossy. I cannot stand this card. This is the Four of Pentacles, and the clown situation is not at all pleasing to me. He actually, like, his mouth was, I had to color it in a little bit. I had to like mute it with some black because it just looked like this gaping clown hole on his face, and it just would not do. So it is what it is. But in any case, I would love to hear how you have been working with this deck, how you're getting along with it if you have it. Do you intend to also modify your version if you don't have the limited edition? And that is it. So I hope you enjoyed. And until the next video, much love and take care.